Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So, I went and saw Creed 3 this weekend, and let me tell you guys, this movie's so good. It's so freaking good. I think we've got our first contender for film of the year. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss out on any of the fun. Leave your thoughts down below of what you thought about the movie if you've seen it. And if you haven't, I'm gonna issue a spoiler alert. There will be spoilers for the movie. And so if you haven't watched it yet, but you want to, just save this to your watch later, and then come back to it when the time or after you watch it. But with all that being said, let's get into it. So let's just start with my cat is going crazy in here. So if you hear some rumbling, that's just him. Just ignore him. He's got the zoomies right now. It's actually really cute. But anyways, um, so I don't know if they got like a bigger budget or something, but the fight scenes in this movie are insane, insane. There's I think three boxing matches. Yeah, yeah, because they start off with uh him him beating Conway again, and the Wheeler fight, um, or not not the Wheeler fight, but him beating Conway again, the South Africa fight, um, Damien's fight against uh Chavez, the heavyweight, and then their last fight is just incredible, incredible. It's insane. Um, And just the fact that they're able to, be the ones in the ring late, it's not stumbles, it's them boxing. Like it's Michael B. Jordan, it's Jonathan Majors, just like absolutely throwing incredible haymakers at one another. I'm sure it's like padded, like more than like a normal boxer would. But I mean, they just get so beat up. They just beat the crap out of each other, and it's awesome, and I love it. I love it. It's so good. Um, but so the fight scenes are just absolutely incredible. So I think that's like the main draw. It's a boxing movie, obviously. So the fights just hit it out of the park. The style, the choreography, all of it is just through the roof. I think where this movie really gets to flex though is in just the story of this movie is insane. Um, I do like the first two Creed movies, but I don't think they're like terribly like high level plots or like just like super great plots. They're just like kind of basic generic plots. Um but this movie without the presence of Rocky, really we really get to spend time with Creed. We're not looking at the dynamic of Creed and Rocky. We're looking at the interpersonal conflict he has within himself and with Damien. And so this and so just getting to spend more time with him and just learn about him and watch him reflect on his life and how he's, got into where he is, and just that anger and that guilt that he holds. Michael B. Jordan does such a good job with pain, with expressing the emotion of pain, whether that be anger, rage, sadness, guilt, all of those just like negative, painful emotions. He's just outstanding in every role that he gets to flex that, whether it be this or Killmonger, um, just absolutely insane. Just he's so good and he's so talented, and he's the one behind the camera. Um, and he just crushes it behind the camera as a director. But Creed's, I think this movie not unintentionally, but has a very interesting underlying theme about you know like not talking about your emotions and suppressing that and how we process our feelings and our emotions and events that happen in our lives. Um, so what what lands Damien in jail is Creed ran into their group home dad who wailed on them and beat them, which is just horrific to think about. Um, and then that's when Damien pulled the gun, and then that's when he got in trouble because Adonis ran, and then Damien went down for it. But but Creed never let that go. He let that rage and just just fester inside of him, and it affected his relationships. That's why he's like never been good. That's why he never would talk about his emotions in the other two movies. And he finally kind of overcomes that flaw in this movie, which I think is really, really, really interesting. Uh, it's funny. I just had a conversation with one of my guy friends about how men in our society tend to kind of suppress our emotions and not talk about our feelings, and how that affects us. So I thought it was really, really interesting that I just had a very in-depth conversation with him, and then this movie talks about that and how bad and unhealthy and toxic that is for you, and how it affects not only you but the people around you. It's a really, really great dialogue that they tackle in this movie. And it's not even like the main like plot point, but it is something fantastic that they tackle. It's a great topic, and they do it gracefully and they do it well. Um, I don't think it's just like a man problem. They're like people across the gender spectrum, don't express their feelings or like suppress them or whatever. But I think it's I think it's something that men in America, have been, especially like my age and like before, have been kind of taught to do. Fortunately, we're like shifting away from that, thank God. But I just think it was just a really, really cool dialogue to have in the movie. I thought inside of a boxing movie of all things. But y'all, let's talk about Jonathan Majors. That man, that man's on fire right now, on absolute fire. He was in Devotion. Um, which came out in November, which was just a great movie. If you haven't seen that, I think it's on Paramount Plus now. He killed it in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Even though that movie's not great, he killed it, and I'll link to that review up top. I mean, and then in this movie, he's just this large, menacing, rageful force to be reckoned with. He's just so angry at the world. Um, and he is just like a massive human being. He was made to be in a boxing movie, no question about it. Um, I mean, he is just an absolute monster. He's just such a powerful force. His presence on screen and anything that he's in is just he just sucks you into the scene. Like you can't, and he does such an interesting way of being able to be so nonchalant, and then bam, he flips the switch, and then he's rageful and just so expressive. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. I'm glad that we've got someone like him that's kind of coming onto the scene and like really starting to kind of jumpstart their career. Because I know like he was in Westworld, which I hadn't watched, and he's been in a few other things, but now he's been in three kind of big movies back to back to back within like a very short month span. So he's on fire. He's on top of the world right now. And he's just awesome. He's just so good, and he totally deserves it because he's so extremely talented. Um, I mean, dear God, he's just awesome. He's just awesome. And how big he got for this role, I think, unintentionally, this movie helped him play King because he got so big for this movie that he added the kind of King's presence, on screen presence. And so, but, I think the movie really drives this point home at the end of the final fight. So, Creed wears white and Adonis wears black, and they have like the yin yang symbol on their gloves, and they like specifically zoom in on it. And I think there are two sides of the same coin, like where they both have this rage and guilt built up inside of one another, but the way that they've chosen to handle it is what separates them, and is ultimately what gives Creed the advantage in the ring. Um, Creed has chosen a path of peace and forgiveness of himself, really. Um, and he's fighting to protect what he has and to protect others, as opposed to Dame, who I think Baby Duke describes as like he's fighting the whole world. He's just got all this rage and guilt just pent up inside, and he's got to release it, and he's taking it out on the world because of something that happened with him and Adonis. And I think he's got every right to feel that way. I mean, if I spent 18 years in the pen and watched someone else essentially live my dream, like he repeatedly talks about in the movie, I think I would be extremely I think it's extremely warranted for Damien to feel this way and react this way. Um, but ultimately, Damien lets it go as well. After the fight, they have a little very sweet moment where they just kind of like forgive each other, and they just accept that it was no one's fault, and it was really cool. It was a really cool moment. Um, but I just think that this movie just like has, of course, the fight scenes are great, you know, but I think what really separates this movie from the other two Creed movies is the themes of rage and guilt, um, and just the overall plot and storyline is just magnificent. I really don't have any major uh, nitpicks with the movie, like at all. Like I don't really have anything like, oh, I hated that. Maybe some little things. I don't think they did enough with the fact that Damien was friends with the guy that broke Drago's hand. Um, that probably should have been a more pivotal point. Um, and the fact that Creed's mom had it. Um, I didn't really. I thought was like, oh, like they didn't really explain how she had it, but maybe it doesn't really matter. Um, I wish they would have like taken like a few moments just like explain kind of like like what's been going on with Drago since the end of Creed 2. Just like a little bit, just a touch. Um, because they're like because they're friends in the movie, which I think is really cool. But so yeah, just like very, 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 very small stuff, like extremely small stuff. Oh, some other really cool things I liked. Oh my god, uh, the death scene of Adonis's mom, heartbreaking, awful, awful, so sad, cried. Um, I think we get to spend more time with Bianca and uh, Amara, which is Creed's daughter in the movie, and it was really cool watching them do the sign language. Like I thought that was really cool, um, and so just like getting to see Creed on his own, watch to see Adonis on his own away from Rocky and kind of really dive into his other some other important and relevant relationships in his life. Him and Bianca, him and Amara, his relationship to Damien. Um, I think because Rocky's not in this movie, we can just get to step back and really, really flesh out Creed. And I honestly think it's probably my favorite part of the movie. So overall, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut is a smash hit, with an excellent, well-crafted story centered around the interpersonal conflict of Creed and Damien, propped up by insane boxing scenes. Creed 3 shows the Rocky franchise can not only survive but thrive without its first star. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10, and right now it's the heavyweight movie of the world. So thank you for watching today's video. I always appreciate the support. Make sure you guys check out the link content above, and you guys have a great day. Thanks.